for you may be listening. Live in Los Angeles, Hour 2, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1. Christine Leahy is joining me on a Wednesday.
It doesn't feel like a Wednesday, though.
It feels like a Thursday.
It does. I agree.
It does. It feels.
Why is that?
I don't know. That is weird, isn't it?
A lot of people have said that this morning, actually.
I'm a big believer in hope. And I think it's really imperative that a society, everybody has hope. But I also think that carries over into sports. I think a country is happier when there's hope. Here at Fox, we have a lot of things going on. We may buy this. We just sold that. I think the key is always people feel there's hope. We like the future. We like the direction. That's what bosses do. Bosses come in and say, hey, we just sold some things over to that company, but here's our future. And everybody's like, yeah, and they come to work energized. I think that matters to a country, for a president. Can the little guy get his kids into college? Can the garbage man, can the school teacher, can they afford to get their kids in college? Is it reasonable that they won't incur so much debt it deteriorates their life? Hope's a really powerful thing. And when you start having parts of a company or parts of a country that feel hopeless, you're in trouble. Okay, the garbage man has to feel hope, not just the guy on Wall Street. Okay, everybody's got to be in it. There's got to be skin in the game for everybody. Everybody at a company has to feel like I could be promoted. I could get a raise. I could be a boss. I could be a manager. This is where football's great. Football's the sport of hope. And it's not only a sport of hope. You don't even have to be that patient. I mean, San Francisco, the 49ers, were a grease fire for the first 10 weeks of the year. Jimmy Garoppolo comes over, one player. Hottest team in the league, not called the Patriots. L.A. Rams last year, unwatchable. Worst offense statistically in the league. This year, coach, left tackle, one receiver. Best offense in the league. What? In the NBA, the Lakers are 5 years into a rebuild and still poor. Suns, Sixers don't feel much closer. I know, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, they have no championship viability for several years. Even in baseball, the best GM is Theo Epstein. Took him 5 years to crush it. Think about the Philadelphia Eagles. This is why football is a sport of hope. Philadelphia hires Chip Kelly, and after about year 2, even though he went 10-6, 10-6, they have a team mutiny. He builds a roster for his quirky offensive system. They fire Chip Kelly. They don't have players that in their division can win. They have to, Howie Roseman, the GM, has to flip the roster. And in year 2 of the rebuild, they're in the Super Bowl, having lost their MVP quarterback, their Hall of Fame eventual left tackle, and their best linebacker. And they're in the Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. Philadelphia was rudderless 2 years ago. No quarterback, no coach, and a roster that needed to be severely tweaked. 2 years later, even losing a Hall of Fame left tackle and the MVP at quarterback and their best linebacker, they're in the Super Bowl. 85 to 90% of the NBA has no championship viability. Same for baseball. In baseball, rebuilds can be derailed because your ace has to have surgery on his throwing arm. The Eagles lost their MVP quarterback, the guy to protect him left tackle, best linebacker, in the better conference, the NFC over the AFC. And they're in the Super Bowl. In the NFC, 5 of the 6 playoff teams this year were not in it last year. In the NFC East, we haven't had repeat champs since 2003, 2004. What makes football great, it's a microwave. Other sports are a crock pot. It's a slow cook. In the NFL, you get the right offensive coordinator, reshape, rebuild, not a lot of guaranteed money, guaranteed contracts. Front offices run the league, not the players, unlike baseball or the NBA. Those are player sports. You can get trapped into contracts. You can't dig yourself out. Not in the NFL. You could release Tom Brady tomorrow. That's why I've always said, don't give players too much power, too much security, because it ends hope. The NFL is the microwave sport. Heat up cold very quickly. Everybody else is dealing with a crock pot. So, it's interesting. I'm sitting here thinking, it's really remarkable to me. Tom Brady's 40 in another Super Bowl. And it's incredible how many stories are written about, it's time to go. It's very dangerous. 40 years old. We worry about Tom. Here's what's interesting. Drew Brees is 39, hasn't had the protection Brady has for most of his career, and is a smaller athlete who early in his career actually got out and ran a little bit. Nobody's asking him to leave, and nobody's worrying about his concussions. Peyton Manning had 4 neck surgeries. His hands went numb when it got cold, and he was bad his last year. And nobody was begging him to leave. I believe the reason we think Tom should get out, despite the fact he's never been better, never been more efficient, he's the MVP of the league, is because his wife went on CBS. It should be noted, not saying she's not a brilliant woman, but she is not a neurosurgeon. She is a supermodel, and his wife said this on CBS.
I just have to say, as a wife, I'm a little bit, it's, as you know, it's not the most, let's say, an aggressive sport, right? Football, he had a concussion last year. I mean, he has concussions pretty much. I mean, we don't talk about it, but he does have concussions. And I don't really think it's a healthy thing for your body to go through, through that kind of aggression, all the time. And that could not be healthy for you, right? And I'm planning on having him be healthy and do a lot of fun things when we're 100, I hope.
Okay, that's awesome. She's a wife and supportive. My wife got mad at me 2 nights ago because I opened my second bag of potato chips. That's what wives do. They worry about their husbands, and my mom did the same thing. I can remember being in high school. I had a steak for dinner, and my mom went over to cut the meat. And I said, Mom, I'm a junior in high school. You don't have to cut the meat. I'm not 7. That's what moms can do. And I like Gisele Bundchen. But Peyton Manning was falling apart. His wife never said anything. Drew Brees is 39, the smaller athlete, been sacked. He hasn't had the offensive lines Brady has. Brady's had great offensive lines. This year's one of the first years Tom got hit. And everybody's like, whoa, see, let's worry about concussion. He's not a nose tackle in the trenches dealing with head trauma. 16, 18, 24 times a game, maybe 40. Tom practices going down. He's an MVP. He looks younger than ever. All I'm saying on this is a little bit of perspective. This is not a knock at Gisele. But Peyton was falling apart. Brees is 39. We don't ask about them retiring. We don't have these health concerns. We believe because his wife's always had concussions. Again, there is a difference in today's NFL. It's a three-step drop league. It's a bubble screen league. Brady throws deep more this year than he ever has, but generally doesn't throw deep a lot. He's not back there for 4 or 5 seconds. Even against Jacksonville, he's sacked a couple of times, mostly had time to throw, and has also become sort of a genius at knowing when to get rid of the ball and when to duck. Colin, this year you're wrong. Quarterbacks were hurt all the time. No, they actually weren't. Carson Wentz played 85% of the year. Aaron Rodgers got hurt and came back. What about Deshaun Watson? He was hurt in practice, a non-contact drill. What about Ryan Tannehill? Hurt at practice in a non-contact drill. What about Teddy Bridgewater? Hurt at practice in a non-contact drill. What about, you get my point. Tom Brady didn't get hurt this year. Either did Matt Ryan, Jameis, Brees, Cam, Stafford, Flacco, Big Ben, Kaiser, Dalton, Derek Carr, Alex Smith. I'd name Denver's, they don't have a quarterback. Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers, Dak Prescott, Jacoby Brissett, Kirk Cousins. 94% of quarterbacks didn't get hurt. Andrew Luck's is a shoulder injury. Aaron rolled poorly on his and came back, and Wentz played for 85% of the season. Folks, in today's NFL, there is a big difference between being a fighter pilot, dealing with air conflict, stealth missions to end ISIS, or flying for Delta Airlines. That's what Brady and Breeze, the experts in audibling, pocket manipulation, are doing now. Go look at the videos of Terry Bradshaw being slammed into the turf, Joe Montana, Phil Simms, Boomer Esiason, Dan Marino. Like, I'm not saying the game's not violent, but Tom Brady looks younger and plays younger than he ever has. We weren't pushing Manning, nor are we pushing Breeze out of the sport. I like Gisele Bundchen, and she's concerned about her husband. But if she never said anything, would there be this, it's about time for Tom to go? Let me ask you this. Was anybody pushing Michael Jordan out at the end if he would have been MVP? His game deteriorated. He wasn't as vertical. If Michael Jordan was playing at 40, well, it's a different sport. No, he actually missed a year, too. In the NBA, there's all sorts of injuries. Increasing injuries. Like, I know it's head trauma, and I know people worry about it, but let's at least add some context to this stuff. A wife says something, and I understand what wives feel and how they feel, and I get it and support that. But Peyton was on his 4th neck surgery. His hand was going numb. You didn't hear this. This guy's got to get out of the sport. Drew's 39, a smaller athlete, hasn't had the protection that he has. Nobody's rushing him out either. Just some context. Even surgeons aren't quite really sure about all the head trauma. These are surgeons. I'm not one. I'm just a sportscaster. And I've seen the media and fear-mongering. I've seen it. And I've really seen it over the last couple years. Let's just let Brady play and trust that Tom Brady will know when to retire. Can we at least all agree on this? Tom Brady knows Tom Brady's body better than you do, better than I do, and I bet even better than Gisele does. Does your business have any New Year's resolutions? Here's an important one every business should consider. Make your hiring process more efficient and effective. This year, let ZipRecruiter help. Nobody's done a better job transforming how to find the right talent than they have. In fact, if you post a job on ZipRecruiter, they seek out the candidates. And what matters there is 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. ZipRecruiter is just a smarter, more efficient way to hire. Find out why today businesses, large and small, use them. And right now, my listeners can post for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/HERD. 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 It is free. And because they seek out the candidates, they have matching technology. 80% of employers who post a gig in a day find a quality candidate. ZipRecruiter.com/herd.
It's a frozen world, but right now it's thawing out. If you don't produce, you die.
Life below zero.